Physical borders no longer define U.S. import operations. Today, the true border is an invisible electronic data perimeter. When a shipment arrives, Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, takes the lead. They handle the mechanics of entry, secure the financial bonds, and collect the tariffs. But if that shipment contains food, drugs, or medical devices, the Food and Drug Administration steps in. The FDA's job is to determine if the article actually complies with U.S. consumer safety and health laws. To manage this, the two agencies operate in tandem. If the FDA finds a violation, CBP enforces the physical consequence, ensuring the non-compliant merchandise is either exported back out of the country or destroyed. Bringing regulated goods into the country requires navigating a synchronized dual-agency logic gate. As seen in this excerpt from the Regulatory Procedures Manual, Chapter 9 outlines how the FDA enforces laws like the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act at the border. The process runs on two distinct computer systems. The first is CBP's Automated Commercial Environment, or ACE. This is the primary electronic data interchange, where all import documentation is filed. The second system is the FDA's Operational and Administrative System for Import Support, known as OASIS. OASIS acts as a secondary screening brain, evaluating the specific shipment data pushed over from ACE. Getting a shipment cleared means mastering the strict deterministic logic tree governed by these two interfaces. Every piece of data dictates the next step. Understanding this digital matrix is the only reliable way to ensure a physical supply chain survives the crossing. The algorithmic triage begins with a financial threshold. Any commercial shipment valued over $2,500 is classified by Customs as a formal entry. This document outlines the formal entry requirement. To process a shipment over $2,500, the importer posts a CBP redelivery bond and calculates duties. An automated broker interface filer initiates the process by uploading the shipment's initial data packet directly into the ACE system. ACE immediately scans the shipment's harmonized tariff schedule code, the numeric identifier for the traded product, to see if any other government agencies need to review the cargo. Because the redelivery bond legally obligates the importer to return the goods to Customs upon demand, it acts as a financial hostage, ensuring compliance with whatever the system asks for next. This flowchart maps the triage process. ACE attaches an OGA flag, forcing the shipment down 3 pathways. FD0 releases the article. FD1 is conditional, requiring a disclaimer or data. FD2 locks the entry down until a highly specific data payload is submitted. Looking at this manual entry, that required payload includes the FDA product code, which is distinct from the tariff code, the country of origin, and the manufacturer identification, or MID code, identifying exactly who made the product and where. Importers can also voluntarily submit affirmation of compliance codes, like a medical device listing number, to help the system process the entry faster. A single coding error at this node will freeze the entire entry, while accurate data keeps the shipment moving toward final clearance. Once the FD2 data packet is compiled, ACE pushes it into the FDA's OASIS system for targeted risk evaluation. Inside OASIS, the data is run through PREDICT, the FDA's predictive risk-based evaluation for dynamic import compliance targeting tool. PREDICT screens the supply chain history and product data against known compliance criteria. The ideal outcome is a system may proceed notification. This means the PREDICT algorithm evaluated the risk as low enough to recommend releasing the shipment without ever routing it to a human reviewer.
Legally, may proceed simply means the product can move into commerce without a physical FDA examination. It does not mean the FDA has officially certified the product as compliant. But if the algorithm detects a high-risk anomaly, it triggers a manual review, immediately halting the physical shipment. At this point, the FDA will issue a notice of sampling. The importer, filer, and consignee are instructed to hold the entry intact while the agency decides whether to collect physical units for lab analysis. The algorithm has functionally replaced the physical inspector at the border until the data profile proves too risky to ignore. For food importers, there is a way to bypass this manual review queue using the Voluntary Qualified Importer Program, or VQIP. PREDICT is programmed to instantly recognize and validate VQIP supply chain information submitted at the time of entry. By establishing a proven history of compliance, 𝗵𝗂𝗽 participants limit physical sampling almost exclusively to random audits or for-cause situations where a specific public health threat is identified. Ultimately, investing heavily in pre-verified compliance protocols effectively buys crucial supply chain velocity right at the physical border. If a shipment is held for physical examination or sampling, and the lab results show the article violates the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, the process hits a critical juncture. The FDA immediately issues a Notice of FDA Action detained to the filer, the owner, and the consignee, detailing the exact nature of the charge. This notice triggers the importer's due process rights. They are granted exactly 10 working days to provide testimony or evidence supporting the admissibility of the article. While referred to as a hearing, the importer does not have to appear in person. They can submit their evidence via mail, fax, or email to contest the detention. A notice of detention is an accusation, not a final sentence, provided the importer organizes their defense within that narrow 10-day window. This manual section details the compliance recovery mechanism. Instead of fighting the charge, the importer can use Section 801B to salvage the goods by submitting Form FDA 766, requesting authorization to relabel or recondition the items to bring them up to code. The 𝗵𝗵𝗃 redelivery bond posted at the very beginning of the formal entry legally covers the specific reconditioning process. If the FDA approves the plan and verifies that the reconditioning was successful, they issue a notice of release, officially marking the shipment as originally detained and now released. The admissibility matrix provides a highly regulated, bonded mechanism to cure defects, turning what looks like a total loss into a salvageable shipment. But if the reconditioning fails or the importer ignores the detention notice entirely, the logic tree reaches its terminal node, the Notice of Refusal of Admission. The legal consequence here is absolute. The refused articles must be exported out of the United States or destroyed under customs supervision within 90 days. When an importer fails to correct procedural errors, those non-compliant goods face irreversible physical destruction at the border. And if the importer fails to physically redeliver the refused goods to 𝗵𝗵𝗃, the government triggers a claim for liquidated damages under the redelivery bond. The journey of an imported product depends entirely on accurate data flowing from the initial FD2 packet through the predict algorithm and successfully navigating the recovery loops if a violation occurs. Mastering this interagency matrix is the absolute difference between a fluid supply chain and catastrophic administrative destruction.